The midday news, and glad to be in your company once again. Last week we were focusing on the opposition, NDC, the National Democratic Congress, on their congress that was held. So we're back to the issues. This is the Joy Sports Link on Joy 99.7 FM. My name is Nathaniel Atto. I'm glad to be here in your company. And as usual, there's a lot to talk about this afternoon. It's midday, and I've got a strong team of journalists from around the world to discuss a matter of common interest. Before that, however, I'd like to start off on a note of conversation. Remember, about 2 weeks ago, I did a similar thing, and I want to put something to your thoughts before we start off. Welcome to the show.
Joy 99.7 FM.
Once again, I say you're all welcome to the Joy Sports Link here on Joy 99.7 FM. My name is Nathaniel Atto, and I'm glad to be in your company this afternoon. And of course, we're going up to the top of the hour, 2 p.m. Welcome to all of our friends who are joining us on social media, on the Joy FM wall. Your comments are all very welcome. Today, we're discussing women's football with a spotlight on the national team of Ghana, the Black Queens. We're looking at the marketability of women's football with the Black Queens example. The failure to qualify beyond the group stage of this competition, which is being hosted on home soil. Continuing to make that idea of winning an African title for the senior women's team of Ghana a mirage for now. So your thoughts are very welcome. I'm sure some of you watched the game. You've got your thoughts. I monitored some of the conversations with some of my friends on social media. And of course, there were those who were very proud of the Queens, considering the circumstances. They thought they fought very hard against Cameroon. There were those who also thought that we got exactly what we paid for. What are your thoughts? But beloved in sport, let me dig into your thoughts one more time. Let me start by digging into my own thoughts and putting this to you this afternoon. Now, the last time I spoke here, it had to do with the Normalization Committee. Now, this afternoon, it is twofold. One about one of our clubs, and one is about the value that we as a nation have placed on women's football. Now, please permit me to start by commending the recent efforts of the CEO of Ghana's oldest football club, Accra Hearts of Oak. And of course, his name is Mark Noonan. Now, I believe that he is on track in reviving the fortunes of the Phobian club and must be supported by all of those who consider themselves worthy stakeholders of the club. Now, in the last few months, Mark Noonan has commissioned the club's Phobian training facility, which is a project initiated by his predecessors. The facility has a lot of potential for further development, and it is my hope that with good planning, all of these will be achieved in good time. Now, also, Mark Noonan took a very critical step in getting the spiritual blessing of the club reactivated by paying a visit to the home of the Netes in central Accra, which is the founding ground of the club. Now, aside the work on the administrative tables, one knows that one needs the spiritual backing of those who have passed on to glory and all of those who have broken their backs to work hard to bring the club to where it is, and those who are alive to pray for positivity for the club's forward journey. Mark Noonan has also ensured that the appointment of ex-Ghana international Kim Grant has come to pass. And remember that Kim Grant who is now the head coach of Accra Hearts of Oak, has always had the desire to play such a key role in the land of his birth. All the Phobian family need now is to give him the healthy working atmosphere that is required and time. After putting all of these together, and after a while, they can now either criticize for lack of performance or celebrate achievements, depending on the situation. And perhaps from the business perspective, one of the biggest will be the signing of that kit sponsorship with Umbro. From a sentimental point of view, we all remember the kind of positive omen that the Umbro kits brought to the Black Stars as they started off their qualification campaign for the nation's first FIFA World Cup in Germany between 2005 to 2006. I see this kit deal starting off a new era of merchandising and its appreciation by fans, as well as its proper role in plowing liquidity into the club's coffers, just like is happening in Europe and elsewhere. My other prayer is that the Normalization Committee completes its work of reintroducing regular competition so that these deals can start yielding benefits, especially for the sponsors. And in this case, I also acknowledge the recent efforts by Kumasi Asante Kotoko. But dear Mr. Mark Noonan, know that just as I am giving you the thumbs up for your methods and the pursuance of your vision for Accra Hearts of Oak, I will come back to constructively criticize when things are not done right. I wish you well, Mr. Mark Noonan, and it is my hope that others will emulate this example that you've set for starters. And now to the subject of the day. Yesterday, many Ghanaian fans and others sat and disappointingly watched the Black Queens lose out on an opportunity to qualify beyond the group phase of this year's Women's Africa Cup of Nations. After that game against Cameroon, who proved a stronger side, so many things have come to mind. And that's the reason why we're having this discussion this afternoon with my colleagues from around the continent and Europe and elsewhere. Here with me this afternoon to do the discussions is a freelance journalist. He's not freelance, actually he's attached with Fox Sport USA. Nick Bruce is here. Nick, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you, glad to be here.
Also is Lydia Era. She's a journalist from Cameroon. Very, very happy, of course, that Cameroon is through. Good afternoon. Good to have you here.
Good afternoon.
And I'm loving your hairstyle. I for a moment, I was thinking, okay, so aren't you supposed to be rather playing than writing the stories?
Okay, thank you.
And also our very own Nick Cavo with our partners, the BBC, or the BBC World Service, leading the coverage here in Accra for the 2018 Women's Africa Cup of Nations. Thank you for your time.
Not a problem, not a problem.
And also here with us is Larai Salamatu. She's with Cameroon Radio and Television. Thank you very much. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Okay, that's about the best French I can do. So you're all welcome to the show. And remember, for those of you who are joining us on social media, on our Joy FM wall on Facebook, you can place your comments there. Tell us what you make of the performance by the Black Queens so far. Who has caught your attention so far in terms of performance? Who's looking good, especially as we zoom in on the semi-final stage of the competition for the Women's Africa Cup of Nations? Drop your WhatsApp messages as well via 0244340437. If you're outside Ghana, remember to add the prefix of +233. All right, let us begin with the analysis on the game yesterday. I mean, everybody saw the game yesterday. Let's begin with you, Nick. Let's do ladies first. Lydia.
Yeah.
I'm sure that aside wanting to give a very balanced report on the happenings at the stadium yesterday, you also had that emotional feel as well to the game. Give me an idea of what was running through your mind when you watched that game.
When I was watching the game, first round, I was very afraid because I was very afraid that Cameroon cannot win Ghana because you all know the Black Queen are very strong ladies. So I was very afraid that we cannot make it.
Okay.
After round, I have a conviction to Lion Indomitable. I know that they are, since they came to the game, they have their how can I say it? Sorry, my English is not very good.
No
I hope everyone my English is not very good.
Sure.
I'm francophone, so
sure.
You know, when we started the game, Lion they have their way to play. Okay. They are going progressive. I don't think
attacking.
It's attacking.
Okay,
yes.
Good.
So I was confirmed with this play that they can do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I see. All right, Nick. There are two Nicks in the studio, anyways. So.
I can go by Nicholas if you need.
Okay, Nicholas Bruce and Nick Cavill.
There you go.
Sure.
No, I think it was a gutsy performance by Ghana. I mean, and I think the crowd, and it's always unfortunate that the host country bows out early. But I think the turnaround from that match against Mali and then playing against a very strong Cameroonian team. They put in a lot of effort, and it certainly led to some drama. It's not just here, but from the Cape Coast match, and it was actually quite good fun watching the other journalists and the reaction from those who had a connection back to the Cape Coast match to know, oh, Algeria scored. Here's what the live standings of who proceeds, who goes through, and then it was Ghana had scored, then Mali, then finding the equalizer, and in the end we saw that the Black Queens couldn't quite make it, but. Yeah, I think the tournament still goes on, and there's a lot at stake. So. All
right. Also, Joy Sports Baba Tando is here with me, and she will be taking us into camp because she spent a lot of time in camp during the preparation and also during this tournament, and give us a feel of what was happening ahead of that game. But let me take the initial thoughts of Nick Cavill, who was also there. Nick?
I'm going to be brutal. The Black Queens weren't...
Go ahead. We need it.
The Black Queens weren't good enough. I don't think they played well enough in all three matches. I think they tried to play some nice football. They they had some nice possession, but in front of goal that they were sorely lacking, I thought, all the way from the first game all the way through to yesterday. And if you reflect on it, I'm going to be brutal again. All three goals that Ghana scored at this tournament had an element of luck. The first one was a fierce shot. It was a great shot, but most people would say the Algerian goalkeeper maybe should have done better.
Okay.
The penalty that Elizabeth scored, I think she went down fairly easily. I think you could see those given and not given. And then again yesterday, the Cameroon goalkeeper totally misjudged that ball. If she'd stayed back maybe and stayed on her line, she might have caught it. So I think they tried their hardest. I'm not saying they didn't try, but I just didn't think they had the quality.
On the score of the three goals, on the last two, I will agree with you. On the first, I'll differ a little bit because I thought that was a ferocious shot. Yes, I mean from analysis, you'd think that she was probably just trying her luck, blasting a shot, and it went in.
It was a great shot, but I get a feeling that the goalkeeper will have been disappointed, given the saves I saw the goalkeeper make afterwards in that game as well.
In that same game,
that it was almost directly at her, and I just felt that if she'd got a stronger hand, it might have gone over. But
I thought it was a cross. Yeah, or she thought it was a cross.
Yeah, but No, so I just don't. I think that they lacked maybe a bit of team spirit. I think the ability is there. And I said this yesterday before the match. I said that I think you lack a real out and out goal scoring striker who's there, ready to pounce and score those goals. I mean, I think everybody played well. I was very impressed with Grace Asante. I thought she had a really, really good game as well. I thought she looked really good powering forward, and I think she's a bright spark amongst that team.
If you're just joining us, we're here on the Joy Sports Link on Joy 99.7 FM. One of the biggest gathering of journalists to discuss the issues here on the show in quite a while. So I've got with me about 6. Okay, so plus myself are about 7 in here doing the discussions on the issues. We're taking a critical look at women's football, its appreciation, what the opportunities are, and of course with the example of what has happened with the Black Queens, with a botched host and win agenda for this 2018 Women's Africa Cup of Nations. So I'll come to you, Lakai, now. I'm sure that you, going into the game, you had a certain dose of confidence that, Cameroon were going to win. Did you have any form of doubt, away from the emotional attachment to, the Lion Indomitable? Did you really see Ghana posing a major threat in this game?
Yesterday, Ghana and Cameroon did not play their best football.
Okay.
For Cameroon, I can say that it's difficult to play the host country. But for Ghana, I don't know why they they didn't play well. Yesterday, there was many supporter in the stadium, but Ghana the Black Queens did not play well. I don't know what, I don't know how. Perhaps the coach is the person who is to be blamed. But for Cameroon, the coach say we are here to play 5 matches and to win all of them.
Okay.
We are not afraid. There is not...
no fear.
Yeah, no fear. There is no good opponent, but we will win all our match.
I see. Okay, so Cameroon is here with an agenda, and of course, you could see from match day 1, Cameroon beat Mali by 2-1. They went ahead to beat Algeria 3-0, and then wrapped up that game, that draw with the Black Queens of Ghana. So as it stands now, Cameroon topped the group with 7 points, qualified to the semi-finals. Also Mali finishing second and qualified to the semi-finals. Ghana and Algeria packing out early from this tournament. All right, now let's also talk about the general look and feel of the tournament. But before that as well, let's go to the other group, which is Group B. As it stands now, before these final round of matches, South Africa are leading with 6 points. Nigeria, the defending champions, they've got 3 points. The most successful side at this tournament with 3 points. Zambia there with 3, and Equatorial Guinea. It's looking pretty split, and it could go anybody's way in Group B as we look ahead to these games between South Africa and Zambia. Tell me what your observations are, especially about Nigeria, in terms of their pedigree and everything that they brought to this tournament.
I've seen them play once. I saw them in the match versus Zambia. So I didn't see their first match out in Cape Coast, but I think they're the ones that stand with all the pressure. They've won they've won this tournament so many times. The expectation is there to make the World Cup. It's almost something of a given for this team, but it's not given in this case. And I think that South Africa, the opener, which some will call it an upset, some will call it just South Africa finally managed after so many defeats to Nigeria, and so I think that was the eye opener. They still have the Equatorial Guinea match, and South Africa will have their final match against Zambia. So if Nigeria sits in second spot and goes, then they would face off against Cameroon.
Interesting stuff there. Lydia, something you're looking forward to?
No, I don't want Nigeria to front Cameroon because because how to say it in English, c'est notre bête noire. Je sais pas comment.
They're our bogey
yes.
team. Our bogey team.
Yes, because anytime Nigeria front Cameroon, is the only teams that make Cameroon stop at the final.
Okay.
We never won the cup just because of Nigeria. So
I see.
But I think in my own position, when I look Nigeria play and South Africa, I think Nigeria have good opportunities to go far in this competition.
I see.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff there. We're going to come to that, but we mentioned South Africa. South Africa was one of the teams that the Black Queens played before coming in, and this is where I bring in Baba for her initial comments. Now, Baba, you were with the Black Queens in camp. You observed what happened. Now, ahead of the game against Cameroon, what was the mood like? Did you have a feel of a united team, a team that had the confidence, a team that had been psyched up enough to overcome that challenge, considering that the male team saw a similar disappointment, some 10 years ago?
2008?
Yes, in 2008, in the Africa Cup of Nations in 2008, right there at the Accra Stadium.
Right, now immediately after the Mali game, the entire team actually was down. The mood was something else. I mean, it was more like they had lost I mean, there was no other game to play again. And that made it quite dangerous for them because, I mean, what had to happen immediately after that loss was for them to psych themselves up, for the coach to help psych them up, for whichever psychologist was with them to psych them up for the next game. I mean, they tried as much as they could, but it wasn't that much because I visited them a day before their game. Yes, so I visited them on Thursday at La Palme. That's where they are camping. And when I got there, I mean, they had visitors from the board of directors of the NSA, and then the deputy sports minister was also there. They were very down. I mean, they were so down until there was a little spark from the deputy sports minister. And by this, I don't mean that they were motivated by, money, but I mean, just when the deputy sports minister told them that, look, I've brought your per diem and everything, I mean, things changed quite a little bit. So in their team spirit, thing, it lifted up. But I spoke with the captain of record, and I asked her if everything was okay, and she said, "Look, we know that we have been hit by reality. We know that this is going to be a reality check for us. We know it will be difficult, but we are only believing in the fact that everything is possible, and we should never say never. But look, as it stands now, we are very much under pressure, you see. But I don't also think that they should blame pressure, the word pressure from Ghanaians as, one of the reasons they lost. Every country that goes into a tournament, whether they are hosting or not, has some sort of pressure on them because there's only one thing that is expected of you, that you go as far as possible, I mean, to the ultimate. So as for pressure, it is a natural thing when you are involved in a tournament. But they were actually united. It was their confidence level that was quite questionable. I mean, it was on the field of play. From our very first game against Algeria, you could see it, that, they knew what they were up to. They knew the task that was ahead of them, but they needed something extra. They needed, probably, if I really do not know, I didn't see a team psychologist with them. All they had was a team doctor. I'm sure if there was a psychologist there who was psyching them up in a different way rather than how they were going about their business, I'm sure it would have counted a little bit, because look, they said that apart from assistant coach Messi Kweku Tego and their head coach Bashir Hayford, who kept saying that they feel Ghana are the real threats in Group A, the players thought they thought otherwise, and this is on personal conversations with them. They really thought otherwise, that Charlie, this is Cameroon and this is Mali. These two countries are troublesome in the West African sub-region, and we know the real deal against them. But we'll see what we can do. So it was almost always messages of optimism and just hope, and not the real zeal or their real coming face to face with their real abilities. So yes, confidence was questionable, but of course it was one of a united front that had a lot of optimism.
All right, so also you can join us with your messages. Remember, it's 0244340437. 0244340437. Join us with your messages on WhatsApp. We'll be glad to share them as we take a look at the exit of the Black Queens from the Women's Africa Cup of Nations and the lessons to be learned from there, and what we as a continent in general are investing into women's football, and what kind of opportunity we see there, considering what we've seen here so far at the Women's Africa Cup of Nations. Here with me in studio are Nick Cavell, with our partners, the BBC, also Lydia Era from Cameroon, journalist, also Nick Bruce from Fox Sport USA, and Larai Salamatu with Cameroonian Television. All right, Baba Tando is also here with me. Benedict Owusu joins later to bring us up to speed with the Black Maidens, the under-17 team, who are in Uruguay and seem to be doing the opposite compared to the Black Queens, looking very good to progress into the final stages of the ongoing under-17 Women's World Cup. Now, we've spoken a little bit about, Group B and what we should be expecting. Nick, tell me, for me, I see South Africa as a strong force, considering what they've invested in this tournament. I don't know about you.
Definitely. They've invested an awful lot in this tournament. They started in January. They've played, I think, 15 friendly matches. I spoke to the coach, Desiree Elias, yesterday. They played in Sweden. They played in the Cyprus Cup. They played in the COSAFA Cup. They went to Chile to train. They have a pool of 50 young players that they can pick from who come together on a regular basis.
50.
They have 50, and she said, I'm looking at all of them. There's 50 of them, and I had to pick 21. Out of 21, 3 are goalkeepers, so I've got 18 to choose from. So I had to choose the ones I felt were most versatile. And that's how she picked the team. So they've had this going on for the whole year. They've got a regional tour. Their league is based on regions, so there is local, regional women's club football in South Africa as well. So the South African Football Association are investing in this. They think it's a way forward. And then, you look at the most senior player in the team, Janine Van Veek. She plays in America for Houston Dash with a former coach, Vera Pauw, who's also over there. They've taken 2 young players, Thembi Kgatlana, who scored that amazing goal against Nigeria, and Linda Matlacho, who's also scored, I think, from the penalty spot, are playing in Houston Dash. And then you add into
Kgatlana has had a very good tournament.
She has. I thought it was a great goal. And then you put on top of that, Janine is still playing. She's got 156 caps now. She's got her own club already. She's already encouraging the likes of Linda Matlacho to come through. So there's a lot of investment and time in that team, and I think that it's bearing fruit now. Desiree Ellis, former player, a coach now for many years. Janine Van Veek, 150, as I said before, 156 caps as that experience to help the youngsters through. So to me, South Africa are the team that look the best prepared, the best teamwork, the best team spirit, and to a certain extent some of the better players as well technically, who can play different positions as well. So South Africa really, for me, are the team to beat. I think Nigeria have got skillful players. I think Cameroon have got skillful players. Whether they've been brought together the same way as the South African team to play good football and go out and try and win games, that's what's lacking, I believe, from some of these other teams in this tournament. And the preparation there, I think it says it all. I think, if you've had squads playing together and you can choose and move them around and they all know each other, that's a massive boost for South Africa. And I think that they're the ones that are taking women's football at the moment, trying to take it up that level. And I think I think many countries that are lacking behind that sort of development and investment.
Lydia, tell me, in Group A, it's obviously Cameroon. Let's take a quick look at Group B, and you tell me your thoughts as well. Nick thinks it's South Africa who are leading the group. I don't know what you make of that as well. South Africa leading, Nigeria there in second place. Nigeria and Zambia joins there in that place. And then Equatorial Guinea, who have been a disappointment as well. Who do you see from Group B, aside Cameroon in Group A, who else do you see as the team to possibly win this tournament based on performance so far?
I think, like Mr. Nick say, yes, of course, South Africa is the best prepared, to this competition. Sure. But to my own opinion, yes, thank you. to my own opinion, I think Nigeria have a very good players. Nigeria have some is how they say in English, experience, and they have some in their mind. They have their own
very good. They're very psyched up.
They are very psyched up, and I think this is one of
the strongest
of the team.
Okay.
So I think Nigeria is favorite of this group, the Group B.
Well, I tend to have a bit of agreement with what Lydia's just saying, considering that they did a turnaround in their second game and they just sparked up and woke up. Nicholas, I don't know what you think as well.
I'm going to have to go with my namesake on this, and that I think that South Africa, to your defense though, I believe that Nigeria, when you have won as many as 10 African titles, as you move into that knockout stage, that sort of experience comes out. And you just know that, okay, this is, you build yourself up for a performance like that. South Africa, but I think with so much at stake, Cameroon, having lost the last 2 finals, is just, if they face Nigeria in the semifinal versus the final, just finally getting that off their back to be able to triumph there. I think Mali goes in it as, what we saw 4 years ago in going for the World Cup. There was Cote d'Ivoire. that came out of nowhere and ended up playing a third-place team and qualifying for the Women's World Cup for 2015. So Mali has a lot going. And I think Cameroon seems to be eyeing the title. South Africa certainly eyeing the title and going for a World Cup qualification. So
let's see how all of that goes. We'll now talk about the look and feel of the tournament. The fans. I remember that Larai was saying that, look, yesterday people turned up at the stadium to watch the game between Ghana and Cameroon. Tell me what your observations have been. Let me begin with you, Nick.
Talking about yesterday, I think the disappointment for me was on the pitch that the players from Ghana didn't quite give the performance that made the crowd excited. If they'd put that the first goal went in, and I think, yes, for a moment there, that excitement rose in the stadium. But it seemed to me after that, the only excitement came when Algeria scored. And the Black Queens maybe didn't do enough on the pitch to get the crowd behind them. And I think, I was in Cameroon 2 years ago, and I was very, very impressed with the turnout for all the matches, especially the Cameroon games. And on top of all of that, there were fan parks in both cities, in Limbe and in Yaoundé, where if people couldn't get to the stadium, they could go and watch in a big area with bars and restaurants and food and massive screens and entertainment. So from that side of thing, I really felt that Cameroon had a great tournament, from the feel of it, from getting the fans interested, from getting people in there. The final was incredible to me because, first, for opening match, I had to walk 2 kilometres.
Okay.
There was a ring of police around the stadium, and there were no cars allowed in. So I had to get out of my taxi and walk 2 kilometres to get to the stadium.
Wow.
For the final, we got in a shuttle bus, went up to the final, and we went past this 3 or 4 hours before kickoff. Thousands and thousands of people traipsing towards the stadium. There were queues of 400, 500, 600 metres outside the stadium. We're all looking around at this, and I turned around, and I can remember saying to them, my fellow journalists, I said, I don't know what they're queuing up for. And they went, well, they want to watch the match. And I said, yeah, but look at the stadium. So we all turned around, and the stadium was already full.
Wow.
So 4 hours before kickoff, the stadium was full, and there were several thousand people outside wanting to get in. So somehow Cameroon managed to get that excitement, get that passion for the game, and get behind their team. And I think that's what took them, helped them get to the final and what have you. I think it did happen here. I realise in Ghana there's been a lot of problems in terms of getting ready, the pitches and the infrastructure ready for this tournament. But also the Ghana Football Association has had its problems, so it's been very difficult for them to get that sort of excitement going for the people around Ghana and especially around Accra. And I think that's I think that has shown through that the Anas Arameyu expose that brought down the Ghana Football Association. I personally think that's had a big effect on the ability of the local organising committee to really get into the nitty gritty and make sure that people know the matches are on and how to get there and where to buy the tickets. I mean, so yeah, I think that it has been good, and I think I've enjoyed the atmosphere in the stadium, and I have, it's been well organised, but I think it lacked just a little bit, and I think and I put that down to the problems throughout Ghana football in the last few months.
Okay, I don't know what your thoughts are. You share them with us as well. On our Facebook wall, there's a live stream ongoing on the Joy FM wall. Also, 0244340437. Join us. Let's have this conversation together. I'll be coming to my 2 Cameroonian friends, Larai and Lydia, to tell us what it is that Cameroon's local organizing committee did for the last edition ahead of this one to get this kind of excitement and this kind of attendance at the stadium. But before that, let's go into our text messages. This one says, hello, I'm Ghazali. I think our coach had it all wrong tactically, coupled with our defense being jittery in most cases. Ghazali, thank you very much for that message. We'll do some more here. There's this other one, which reads, we all saw this coming. We have always been paying lip service to women's football in Ghana. Inadequate preparation actually cost us this trophy. Better luck next time. And this is from Asempa, sending this message from Ayikuma. Thank you very much, Asempa. Another one says, good afternoon, Nats. To me, the Queens were not ready for the women's AFCON. So no one should be disappointed, but the Banyana of South Africa is the team to beat. I'm rooting for Desiree Ellis and her squad. And Smena, the number 17, has caught my eye. Composure, skill, and determination be what? This is from J. Inkum, sending the message from Winneba in the Central Region. Thank you very much for that message. There's a few more. Remember, it's 0244340437. Another one here says, hello, Nat. The exit of Ghana's Black Queens from the tournament is no different from what government had promised to do so much prior to a national election, but ended up doing nothing in power. One stadium, one Black Queen. Okay. Please do add your name the next time you forgot to sign that message there. All right, there's this other one. It says, a big lesson for Ghana. Good relationship leads to good result. This was missing from the Black Queen's technical bench. Mercy Tegu Kwaku had better body language on the ladies. And this is the view of Efo Yao in Afienya. He says that he thinks that Mercy Tegu had a better, body language. Let's quickly get on the phone line now and speak to Kukudazi, who's a former coach of the Black Queens team. He's also got thoughts, on this subject. Thank you very much, Coach, for your time. Good to hear from you. Hello, Coach. Thank you for your time. Hello, Coach Dazi. Can you hear us? Okay, we're struggling to hear him. We'll try to get back and re-establish contact with him. We do some more messages before we go to what was the big factor, the X factor that got the fans to the stadium for the last edition in Cameroon. Now, Nat, where was Mercy Tegu? She's the one that could get closer to the ladies and psych them up better. Fortune next time. This is from Uche in Tema. Uche, thank you very much. But Mercy Tegu is there in camp. She's the assistant coach, and of course, she's been very much a key part of this. Inko Joseph, who's regular in texting the show, says, I believe the change in the technical direction of our Black Queens cost us a lot, especially when Mercy Tegu had won a tournament earlier with a certain crop of players. Coach Bash came in with almost a different set of players in less than a month for the tournament to kick off, and so the teamwork was not there. Lastly, I believe Ghanaians in general will have to take a second look at the food we eat. Okay, of late, most of our players, both male and female, look the smallest. Alaji Guza will put it, middle taller players. Okay, Inko Joseph sends this message. Thank you very much. Let's get back on the phone line. My producer alerts me that we've re-established contact with Coach Kukudazi. Coach, thank you very much for your time, and good to have you here on the show.
Good afternoon.
Now, you've seen what we've put out, performance-wise, in this tournament. At this stage that we're out, what are your thoughts, concerning, our general output and what we need to do going forward?
Oh, well, thank you very much for the opportunity. Actually, looking at our performance so far, as a coach, what I would say is that with regards to our conditioning, that is a physical aspect of the team, is not the best. And in football, condition is the basic thing. That when you are conditioned as a team, you can do so many things because the mind is so set up. We have that mental fitness, to execute what we want to do as a team. So far as I'm concerned, our physical fitness was, a bit low. That is why we couldn't perform well.
All right, now you've been there before, so you have a better appreciation of all of these things. What are we just not doing right with organizing our national team? What is it, and what would you want to see done as a matter of urgency?
Well, as I've said, yes, that with football, about 70-80% is a physical condition of the play. And with Ghana, we have the technical abilities. Okay. But apart from that, football, we have 4 components in football. That is the conditioning of the team, the technique, the tactic, and psychology. These are the 4 main components of football. So definitely, when you are not physically fit, it will affect your technical abilities. And also, it will affect your tactical approach. Because when you are fit, the mind is mentally fit. So, your reaction, yes, on the field will be very quick, and you will have the technique. Yes, the execution will be very okay. Then your tactics will be also okay, because you depend on the physical condition aspect of the players to execute the technique and also execute your tactics.
Coach, also, and finally, the bit about where we've positioned ourselves in terms of our investing and investments and our investments in women's football. What do you want to see done? Because we're here talking about what South Africa has done over the period, which is yielding great fruit. What else aside getting, the technical aspect of the game upright, would you want to see done?
Yes. Football is actually founding. If you want to develop football, you've got to put in money so that you can do so many things regarding the game. But if you like the funds, to back it, I don't think you can go. You can get to the level that you want to be. So, first and foremost, we've got to have the funds. Secondly, we've got to choose the right people, to handle administratively, technically, and others. But it seems that the funding is not there. And secondly, we are not choosing the right people to handle the girls. Yes, hence our inability, to perform with respect to this AFCON.
Coach, a very important point that strikes me. We're not appointing the right people to handle the girls. So does it apply to this current situation?
Yes, I can say that, because, as I said, we lacked, the physical aspect of the team was lacking.
Okay, so we did not appoint the right people to handle the girls technically. Now, so in this case, who would you have preferred? I mean, from your experience as a coach and being there before and all, who would you have preferred had done this job?
Yes, I can say myself, I would have done better. Yeah, because out of this team, about 14 of them, yes, I have trained them right up from the under 20s, yes, up to the Black Queens level. And I know their work, and I know how to go with them in terms of the training and other things. So, as you said, to mention somebody, yes, myself, yes, I will mention myself first.
I see. Coach, would you accept the? Would you accept any opportunity to return to the team and get things right, like you're saying, work with these set of players, and if that is done, would you be willing and ready to come back?
Why not? I'm very ready to put it, because that is my area. That is it, and I'm very confident that yes. When I'm given this opportunity, yes, I will deliver.
Coach, thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you very much.
We're grateful. Coach Kukudazi, he previously handled the Black Queens. He says that we did not put the right people there, and we saw in the results that were recorded. He says that he can do a better job, and he's ready to make a return to the Black Queens team. Interesting thoughts there.
Yes, very interesting. He obviously has had the experience. He knows what he thinks should have happened. Coaches always seem to disagree with each other. Otherwise we'd have coaches like Arsene Wenger in charge. Even he ran out of time and ideas as well. But it did seem to me that maybe there wasn't the team spirit amongst the whole team and between the coach as well. Throughout the tournament here in Ghana. So I think but that also comes down to the lack of time preparation. You need to spend time together in camps, trying to get to know each other for that whole relationship to work properly.
All right, Lydia, tell me, what is it that Cameroon did, the local organizing committee did differently to get that level of excitement? Is women's football that big in Cameroon? What's the profile of women's football in Cameroon like?
I think the real fact was the emotional of Cameroon to
host the tournament.
Yes, to host the tournament.
I see.
You people know that Cameroon is a country of football. Used to be a Cameroon of football. So, on my sorry, English.
Just go. No problems. I can't do any better in French, so you are doing well. Okay. Yeah, sure.
So I think on my own way, I think it was, this emotional to succeed to how to say in English?
En français.
Pour retrouver.
To find again.
Pour retrouver, to find a game back in Cameroon is the real factor that motive Cameroon to
watch the games
watch
like
the
that.
game
Wow.
like that. Yes.
Wow. Nick, you were in Cameroon?
Yep. As I say, I think it's the fact that Cameroon were hosting a tournament for the first time for a while, and that they wanted to show their passion and their pride for their country. I don't think it was just the football. It wasn't just the football that was at stake there. It was the way the whole Cameroon was perceived and seen by a wider audience. So I think that helped as well.
Yeah,
I see.
Exactly.
Wow, interesting stuff there. And so you've been here, and the numbers are lower.
Yeah, in Cameroon, everybody like football. Children, young, old,
adult,
women, and men. For the local organization committee, it was not difficult to convince the people to come to the stadium. And we, the media, we did also good job. In our magazine, for example, in CRTV, where I work, every day we talk to the people to go to the stadium to support the team. And in Cameroon, after the World Cup, the World Cup of 2015, everybody like more women than men.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, because our men team was not good in the 4 last AFCON.
AFCONs,
yeah. And when the girls did well at the World Cup of 2015, everybody come and support them. The lady was very, very, when the ladies play, the stadium is very, very full. Somebody say that the men should learn the lesson from the women.
Ladies, yeah.
And there is very emotional. There is plenty of joy when the ladies play. Everybody are ready to.
So it means
I will not stop you. Some even say that we should take the ladies to
the men's
play
tournament.
Play for the men's players.
Yeah. That's serious.
Yeah.
Wow. So then definitely, I mean, following on television back at home will be massive, right?
Last Tuesday we play friendly against Brazil. Some of my colleagues tell me that tell Ajara to come and yes and play with the men because they lost 0-1.
Yes.
But the ladies win here 3-1.
3-1.
Yeah. In Cameroon, the supporters say that Hajara should play with the man, not with the lady. She's very strong.
Now in Cameroon, population are proud in ladies football than the men football. Even with
they won last year.
Yes, even with the last year they won. Everybody say Africa it was a chance. So Cameroon,
it's a good example. I mean, now I'm curious, is because Cameroon where did it stem from, or when? Because Cameroon they qualified for the Women's World Cup in 2015 and they played really well against the holders at that time, Japan. They went into the knockout round and they gave up an early goal to China, but China's a decent force. So there was a lot. I was in Canada for that World Cup, and there was a lot of fan support for Cameroon. They waited after the team hotel. They cheered them on despite the loss to Japan. They did have 2 wins, and Ganamui played really well. I mean, I think they racked up 6 goals in their Women's World Cup debut. Was that where it stemmed from, or was it after that?
For us, it was a good performance. It was their first participation at World Cup. Cameroonian was very proud because they play well, and meantime the men was not qualified for the World Cup, the Russia World Cup.
I see. Now, Nick, do you have a feeling that sometimes the fans, because of pedigree, now have very heavy expectations based on which now they are not able to even accept any other thing? Because, I mean, for the love to shift to the women to the extent that the men are the defending champions of Africa, they will be hosting the next one, and people will still appreciate the women more. It's interesting.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's I think there's 2 ways to look at it. I think my impression is that the Cameroonian population loves football for football's sake. It's not about so much the level of football. So it's not to say that they accept the women's football for the game that it is, and they accept the men's game for what it is. They're not trying to make a comparison and say, well, actually the women are poorer than the men's team, which is going to be probably the case in most countries where the men's team are stronger. But they look at it and say, well, the Cameroonian women's team is a strong team in Africa. It can do well on the world stage. The men's team is quite strong in Africa, can do well on the world stage. So they look at it separately and take it as a matter of passion and pride and national pride that their country can do well. And I think that sometimes, I think there are fans out there who maybe dismiss. I don't think it's just men versus women. I think it's local club football versus Premier League football versus Spanish La Liga, where they go, well, I'm used to watching, Manchester City play. I'm not going to go and watch Hearts of Oak because they're not. I think it's more about a connection and a passion with a club or a country and a nation that is the key thing to try and build and try and get going. I think in England recently, I think success does help that. I think England's run at the World Cup has brought back a lot of people with that passion. But I think it's about a passion and taking something at face value rather than trying to make a comparison which you can't really do. I think you look at it and say, well, I like football. I enjoy going to watch football. I don't care whether I'm watching, a team down the leagues in England or whether I'm watching Premier League, Manchester United versus Liverpool or whatever. I think it's about accepting what's in front of you and making the most of that as an enjoyment, as an entertainment.
All right, thank you very much. There's still more to discuss here. It's just 9 minutes past 1 p.m. We're going up to the top of the hour, 2 p.m. here on the Joy Sports Link on Joy 99.7 FM with me, Nathaniel Atta. Remember, we're streaming live on Facebook. Send in your messages. We'll be glad to have them. We will now be talking about the opportunities of women's football. Would look at the examples from the United States, and of course Nick is here. Nicholas Bruce is here. Nick Cavill will give us the example from the UK, and of course Baba and Lydia as well as Larai will tell us about the examples from the African continent and how we can forge ahead and build bigger opportunities, especially when we're at a time where people are talking about the level of attractiveness of women's football and how much revenue it can generate compared to the men's game and all of that. We'll also talk about a recent tweet by a renowned coach in Ghana and how it has earned, it has drawn loads of very harsh comments and harsh reactions. This message says, hello Nat, I think the Black Queens are out of the competition due to lack of preparation. Poor preparation is killing us. And this is Ernest from Cape Coast. Thank you very much, Ernest, for the message. There's this one as well. And this is from Opoku Boache in Connecticut, USA. Nat, we have relied on talent over the decades and would have to start investing in sports. Now, else we are not going to go get the results. Okay, thank you very much. This is from Opoku Boache in Connecticut, USA. This other one says, Nat, I think most of the players in this part of the world, for most of the players in this part of the world, the motivation is money and not the passion to play, unlike in Europe and other places, where when we are passionate about playing and we succeed, money then comes in naturally. This is from Nana. Nana, thank you very much for that message. Remember, it's 0244 340 437. Just before we get into, how we can make it more attractive here on the continent and what the opportunities are like and what examples we can draw from other places in the world, we'll take a quick listen to Coach Bashir Hayford. Now, the coach of the Black Queens has been reflecting on the tournament, and we caught up with him in the mixed zone just after the disappointing exit yesterday at the stadium.
I have so many things at stake, of which I should have, if the result was favorable, I would have gotten all those things. They are all out, so I should be the best person to be more sorry. And again, Ghanaians also needed it to jubilate and be happy. It didn't come on. We are also sorry for that because football, you expect 3 results. Either you win, you lose, or you draw. Now that we are out of the competition, though the result wasn't a lose, it was a draw, but we are out of the competition. I think we have to plan as to how we forge ahead, because that is not going to be the end of female football. And so in this case, we have to prepare very well. We have monitored Cameroon, we have monitored South Africa, we have monitored other. They started long time because Ghana, we accepted hosting it 2 years back, and then we started picking camp in August. So we had only 3 months to prepare. And so we knew, and then we saw that the local players that we have, because of the absence of the league, they were not all that in shape. So we have to invite all the professionals. These are the professionals we identified, monitored, and brought down. And they have spent almost 3 weeks with us. It means 3 weeks preparing a whole team of 11 professional players. They have to bring their professionalism into bear. But because some of them have just gone there and some it will take some time so that when they will do. So yes, it is painful. First of all, me, it is very, very painful to me. It is very painful to the girls because even the first qualifying bonus that will scale them into the semi-finals will push them very, very high. And they have lost all. They won't tell you won 1 match, so take winning bonus because it is all about qualifying bonus. So it also pains them. It pains me, it pains everybody, and it pains Ghanaians. So it means we have to put our asses together and see how we can rejuvenate the female football and move ahead. What are you going to resign? Oh, I don't think so. I've not done anything that I should resign. If I've committed any blunder, yes, I will willingly. My job is to come and coach them, play tournament. And if we play, I don't think if you take 32 teams to World Cup. 31 will resign, and remain only one because one person will win. I don't think that is the issue. But somebody appointed.
Coach, let's focus on the performance of the team itself. In the 3 matches, you scored just 1 goal from open play, and that even came from a right back. When you look at the contribution of your midfielder and your strikers in particular, were you left a little bit disappointed that they couldn't convert a few more of some of the chances that your team created?
Honestly, when the chances come and you are not able to convert, as a striker brought down to come and do that job, it is painful, it is disappointing. But you don't have to take anything away from them, because not all chances are scored. Even in the big European league, boys, not all chances are scored. But sometimes we want maybe minor or maybe clear chances. So it means we have to do a little more work on how to get good strikers. And for the midfield, it wasn't bad. Their tackling, their position, their distribution wasn't bad. But it's up to the one who finish.
Coach, motivation-wise, did the Black Queens get any support from the government or whoever we have?
The government has done very, very well. Very, very. For me, I think they have done marvelously well, starting from when they approved the budget for the regional tour, they approved budget for the international match, they approved budget for everything. And everything that the girls need, they provided it. And all the motivation needed for them to were given. And so it was up to them to even perform. Even to be money-wise, they proved to us that even the money will be brought to this place. Immediately we qualify, they will come there and share their monies to them, of which I don't want to disclose because it pays them. And it pays me, it pays everybody.
We would like to apologize to Ghanaians for this disappointment. Sorry to talking about that. Let's talk about the tournament itself. If you look at South Africa, for instance, they played an incredible 15 games. You couldn't just briefly before the tournament. You say that you don't have to great things.
In fact, we are going back. I've said it that we accepted hosting this tournament 2 years back. 2 years. And we started campaign August. It's repeating himself. So I'm not saying it's early, by saying that God knows best. At a point in time, the results in Cape Coast were communicated to us that the Algerians were leading to. We told them, and they were eager to add the tally. They fought and they didn't come. And the goalkeeper made a mistake and they capitalized on the mistake. Yes, they have equalized. So we don't have anything to do again.
Coach, what positives can you take away from this?
Well, I think we now have to sit down, go to the boardroom, and see what we can do best. And again, we've seen that there are areas that we have to strengthen in terms of the department like goalkeeping and then striking. These areas, we have to look into it very well. And again, one positive thing is that we have been able to put together first time the whole team being professionals. And so we want to build on it and see what we can do.
Are you confident that the Ghana FA will be able to support women's football between now and the next tournament? Because as you say, 2 years, the last 2 years they didn't help very much, and now you've got 2 more years for the next tournament.
That is why it is an eye-opener. And so if it is an eye-opener, it means we have to sit up. And then if it is next 1 year or next 2 years, we have to start putting some things in place and see how best we can get good results. In fact, playing draw with Cameroon wasn't all that bad result, but we wanted to qualify. And because we didn't qualify, that is why everybody is disappointed.
Okay, Bashir Hayford there, sounding, calm this time around and, being a little more patient. I mean, so basically he's just putting it the way it is, saying, that look, he worked within the circumstance, tried to make the best out of it, and also shields the girls as well, which I believe is what every coach would do in this circumstance.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's got to take the blame himself, because that's where the buck stops with the coach. I mean, that's the same all over the world. It's the coach who has to accept the responsibility. They're put up as the person that is the figurehead. So yeah, I think I think he's right in certain circumstances that he's got. I think there is the raw talent there. It's about nurturing it, making sure that it blends together. And as Baba said, it's all about teamwork and team unity, and that comes a lot from the coach. And I think that in the last 5 or 6 years, team unity, in my opinion, has helped an awful lot of teams achieve more than the sum of their parts. I mean, I can point to Zambia winning the Africa Cup of Nations. I could point to, Cameroon to a certain extent without their key players winning the last Africa Cup of Nations. You look at teams like Wales, you look at teams like Iceland, all these teams around the world that have good players. Yes, they have good players, but the team unity, the tactics that come together to make them a team that can beat nearly anybody is perfect example of what can be achieved if you have everything right. And to other extent, you look at a team like Germany that has probably some of the best players in the world who've really struggling over the last couple of years. So, it's that blend of good players, team unity, tactics that has to come together. If you end up with one outweighing the other, then that's where it starts to fall apart.
Well, let's go into the organization of the sport itself. Across. Let's, take a look at what's been happening, on the continent. And, of course, would look at what we've done here in Ghana. Of course, because of the circumstance, there's no organized competition ongoing in any aspect of football for now. Nicholas, tell me what it is that, the whole world needs to learn from the example of the USA, who, for instance, are a superpower in women's football.
Yeah, I mean, they have the NWSL, the league that is bringing more talent. We saw that South Africa is heading to Houston Dash to that squad. I mean, it's bringing a lot of players. You're getting a lot more build up also in Australia. So some are playing in the US, then heading to Australia for that season. There's a lot of attention to it, and yet compared to other US sports and including med sports, the women's game is still always trying to push for more, trying to get more. Both in monetary attention things, but like the 2015 World Cup was an enormously, the viewership was on record, and FIFA just also had it. I mean, second only to the men's World Cup, but enormous viewership, particularly for that final with the USA Japan, and it was close in the time zone. So I think there's always what you do find also worthy to know is that at a lot of these NWSL matches, they'll get a couple thousand people. They're in major cities. They might be in the outskirts of major cities, but you get a lot of youth teams showing up. You get a lot of they do major promotions with the youth teams, young girls teams to come out, under 10s, under 20, under 12s, under 14 teams to see, all right, this is an example. This is the potential. This is what I can look forward to. So it's not just because soccer, as we'll call it there, loads of people play up and through a certain age, and then it fades.
So it seems to me also in America that there's an almost a clear pathway. You talk about participation; it's huge amongst young boys and girls all the way through. But you can play those games, and then there's also the college teams as well, which are seem to be well funded and well structured. So a kid at nearly any sport in America can see a clear pathway. I'm going to play for this team, under 12s, under 14s, under 16s. I get to college, I can play for the college team, and then that's where my professional career
now you can see that, there is a professional league, and now you're seeing the jump from the US to European leagues. A lot more making it to Chelsea, to Liverpool, and to France.
Interesting. So, Larai, tell me, do we have a similar structure in Cameroon? What's the organization, the organizational structure of women's football in Cameroon, so that you have a child who's showing a bit of potential? She's 5 years old. Is there a structure where, like has been said, you can go from here to here, and you know that eventually, if you are fit and you're healthy, you can go through and play for the national team?
Yeah, in Cameroon we have potential. We have good player, but we don't have many infrastructure.
Okay.
Yeah. They play almost all the time. They play on the
rough surfaces.
Yeah. And this is the first problem. The second is the lack of organization. In Cameroon, for example, the women championship is not well organized. Sometimes they play 2 months and there is a break. We wait 3 months. We continue. It's not good. It's not regular. Yeah, and it's not easy for the player to develop, to maintain their performance in this case.
Wow.
And for there is not, how can I say, il n'y a pas les équipes, il n'y a pas les minimes, il n'y a pas des écoles de formation de football.
Yeah, there's no football academies. There's nowhere to go for the young ladies. I think it's a much more there is football in Cameroon, is what I'm understanding, but it's very much an ad hoc basis. So you might play for your local village team, and then there might be a more senior team in that village or town or that area where you live in, and they play there. And then if you get to a league team, even then it becomes very difficult because it's not it's not like here's your season, you'll play this Saturday, that Wednesday, that Saturday. It's like I play Saturday, Wednesday. Oh no, we haven't got enough money. Wait for 2 months.
All right, interesting. So this obviously is something that is dotted around the continent in terms of the similarity of the story. Now, just this week, my colleague Gary Al Smith put out a documentary on women's football and how young girls go through everyday all everyday struggles just so they could strive hard to have their talent seen and all. And that documentary was titled All to Play For. So here in Ghana as well, we've got our problems. And Rash, I'm sure you are not surprised hearing of the predicaments that befall Cameroon in wanting to grow women's football.
Well, it's not surprising because we have, I want to say, similar issues here. Yes, there are lots of women's teams scattered around, very juvenile teams, right through to senior teams. We have the teams that play in the FA Cup, the Women's FA Cup, and then we also have those that play in the Women's League. I mean, it's if you want to ask me, I think the whole women's football thing in Ghana is not attractive. I mean, I'm sure it's across the African continent, but I want to talk for Ghana because this is where I am from, and it's really not attractive. I mean, you want to look for the proper structures. Yes, we know that it's the person who owns the team who coaches the team. I mean, yes, the team you can't count even 2 teams that would have like a proper structure, from a head coach to assistant to team doctor to a masseuse to kit equipment officer and all of that. We don't have those things here. The owner of the team coaches the team and that's it. And I mean, sometimes it's appalling when you go to watch some of these National Women's League games. Where do they play them? They play them at so you have the police team, the police ladies playing at the Tesano Police Depot, grassless, very rough pitch. You have other teams playing at the ATTC Park. We know how the ATTC Park looks like. We have other teams playing across the country.
The ATTC Park has grass. It's grass.
Fairly grassed.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, but you want to look at the field, the pitch, and you know that it's not up to standard. I mean, can we have a national team go train there for a tournament? It doesn't happen like that way. So the whole attractiveness around women's football here in Ghana is I don't know, it's really poor. And I want to think that we have to go back to the basics and start with sensitization, community sensitization. We have our community team, and so when they are playing, the least you can do for them is to go support them, during these games. And then we gradually, once we have sensitized the community, we move it to the districts, we move it to the region, and then at least we get to move it to the national level. Because I mean, we saw how many people turned up at the stadium for Ghana's games. As for the timing of the games, I have a problem with. But I mean, we could have done better because we can't say that about 30 million Ghanaians work from 8 to 5 or from 9 to 5. It's not like that. There are others who have the luxury of time, from 3 p.m. going. But it's about our mentality. There's the problem of stereotyping. There's the problem of the men being the favorites. I mean, I want to say that women's football is treated like the stepchild of Ghana football. That's how I put it. Because until the male teams have been fully catered for, the women's team have to wait. Unfortunately, that's how it is. I mean, we've gone through the era where we've seen women's national teams being given surplus jerseys from the men's teams. We've seen all those things before, wearing oversized jerseys, wearing, male jerseys and all of that. We've seen all of those things before. I mean, how is it that a male national team, you tell me, before 2000, after 2006, when is it that the Black Stars are going to play in a tournament that you don't hear every package that will be giving the team announced to the public before they set up for the tournament? That's how it happens. But what happens in the women's case? They started camping about 3 months ago. It was just the day before their game against Cameroon, which was on Thursday, that their per diem was paid to them. Who does that? So, it's our mentality as a country, our mentality about women's football. The whole mindset has to change. Yes, if the International Olympic Committee is moving from equality to equity, FIFA is moving from equality to equity in terms of women's football. The world is changing. Do you know how many eyeballs we get during Women's World Cups? Do you know how many eyeballs are gotten during the UEFA Women's League, the other competitions around the world? Women's football is fast developing. It is a big cash cow. We know this. How can we take advantage of this? How can we play to our own advantage? I think the people who are leading up football now have a lot to do. We have to take advantage of the fact that it is a growing phenomenon, and it has to work for our good. Nat is pathetic, but I think that we have to go all the way down to the beginning to start again. Of course, with sensitization, and then we don't just sensitize and let it and leave it at that. We sensitize, we whip up interest, we maintain the interest, and then we grow the interest. That's how we can go about this. And then once people see that interest has been generated, we are maintaining it, then they also go about packaging themselves, rebranding themselves really well to attract all the attention that they need to attract. Because you can't have the owner of a team being the same person who is coaching the team. There's no, like I mentioned, the technical direction. There's nothing like that. There's no technical structure and all of that. When you package yourselves well, you attract money, you attract advertisers, you attract sponsors. That is when you can grow your brand really well and be a force to reckon with. I'm sure that if CAF agrees that we should have a continental championship, for instance, a continental interclub female championships like the CAF Champions League or the CAF Confederation Cup, and we have to have representation from Ghana. We've seen what has happened to the Black Queens. Even though the Black Queens team was made up of a fairly majority players who are based outside, if we have to go and play in the Champions League, in the CAF Confederation Cup, even in friendly matches with at interclub level, can we match up to the standard even from the continent? It's not possible. We can't, because yes, we've left women's football to fend for itself, which I think is not right. If we really as a country want to rub shoulders, why is it that the gap keeps widening? Look at USA, look at Germany, look at Spain. If there's a tournament and we have to play against Spain, we have to play against Germany, we have to play against Korea, China, Japan, and all of these people, we get scared because we know, their pedigree is way up there and ours is way down there. If we really want to take advantage of this, I think that the time to start is now.
All right, Nick, a very loaded submission from Baba, trying to chronicle all of the problems from different angles. You have covered several of these women's tournaments across the continent. Do you get the feel at any time that we see the opportunity that lies within women's football?
No, I don't think so. I think it's something that needs to be addressed, but I don't think that that's purely a problem here in Africa. I think it's something that's only just being addressed in the rest of the world. I think it's only just been in the last few years that it's been addressed in England.
In agreeing with you, you're watching the games from Uruguay for the Under-17 Women's World Cup, and you see the stands. You see the participation levels. Yeah. Same thing. And to consider that Uruguay is also a strong nation in football, it's rather difficult and sad to note.
Yeah, it is difficult, and I think that I think the one of the issues we've got to take on board is that it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen. You're not going to end up with every single stadium full for the same match with the same number of people that go and watch the men's game, because the men's game is more established. Barbara was very right in terms about education, about how to go there. But it also goes back to what we were saying earlier, and maybe a little bit more about a development strategy where you can see going through. I mean, simple things like we were talking about shirts before, about having to wear cast-offs or the old shirts from the Black Stars, and that comes down to when you negotiate your deal with whoever your kit sponsor is, that you're not just thinking about the men, but you're thinking about, well, actually we need kit for the men and we need kit for the women. So those are the simple things. And a question I've asked recently, and I'm not sure, I know that it's going to be a difficult one, but is in Europe, especially now, the way women's football is improving and the way that it's getting more attention is that nearly all of the top teams in England especially and across Europe have that link to a men's team. They have the same logo, they have the same shirt, they have the same, they have access to that club's medical training facilities and all those sorts of things. Now, the relationship might not be that close. It's not that, Manchester United and men and women train together, or it's not. They are not together, but they do benefit. There is a mutually beneficial thing there, whereby the women's team can make use of the Manchester United academies and their growth and what have you, and have that infrastructure there, which I think is a big thing. I mean, and Manchester United realised. The men's team realised only last year that they didn't have a women's team, and that was being frowned upon. So it's come down to the situation where, a team like Manchester United feels it has to have and has to help out a women's team because that's the way it's going in Europe. So I'm wondering whether across Africa some of the bigger clubs can help out. It's not a matter of giving the women money per se, but it's about allowing the women to have a bit more access to the training facilities, access to, as Baba said, rather than having the owner coach them, maybe the coaches within the men's team can help out with the women's team. Those sorts of things, and then you're building a brand for that women's team, but also building a brand for your own men's team, whereby you can, that becomes a mutually beneficial thing. And to me, if you look around Europe, the European champions are Olympique Lyon, and Lyon is a strong team in France. If you look at the Women's Super League in England, every single team, it's Liverpool, it's Arsenal, it's Chelsea. Manchester City are a team, we know they've got the money, so they're pouring money into it. And Manchester United now have a team because they felt it was necessary in order for their image to improve, to help out and have a women's team. So it's a suggestion. I don't know whether it would work, but it might be one way forward to try and help across Africa.
Rash, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, no. So there are some of the clubs here in Ghana that have female teams, but I mean they adjust their female teams just by name. So there's Fabulous Ladies and there's Hearts Ladies. If I tell you where Hearts Ladies train and where the male team of Hearts of Folk train, totally different. They don't have anything whatsoever to do with them. It's just that they are called Hearts Ladies. There's Fabulous Ladies, and there are one or two others also scattered around across the country. The country. But just like Nick said, I mean, it would just be nice if you're looking at a team like Real Madrid. I mean, everybody would tell me that, look, Real Madrid are one of the richest clubs in the world. They are very well established, but they started from somewhere. Real Madrid own what? They own their football team. They have a basketball team. They have their the female side, and then they have other, sporting facilities that are
it runs a sporting club structure.
Exactly. Okay. I mean, if you want to run it that way, then you know that you have jurisdiction over all of them. So when, for instance, Hearts of Folk, they are now being kitted by Umbro. So they go to Umbro, they say, okay, Umbro, we have a female team, we have the male team, we have the Auroras, we have a basketball team, we have a volleyball. So this is the entirety of our structure. So now the conversation will change so that Umbro will now say that, okay, this is what you have. So this is how far we are going to go with kitting. You go to Kotoko, who are being kitted by, they used to be kitted by Jacko. I don't know who is kitting them now. Then they say, okay, this is the entirety of our structure. And then you move the conversation forward. At least you help solve one problem, because your female team will come out looking, well dressed and all of that, properly kitted, looking professional, even though, I mean, it will not be the same with the financial extensions. And I think think it will be a good way to go. And so, I mean, clubs, this is a friendly advice from, a suggestion from Nick, which I think is a very, very laudable one. They should listen to it and look into it.
Still here on the Joy Sports Link on Joy 99.7 FM, and we've got 21 minutes to wrap up the show here. Nat, I think the coach is to be blamed. Why import players from outside to play in such a competition in this short time? Okay, that's from Kojo Ansa in Adenta. Now, let me take this one as well. Hi, Nathaniel. Please ask Nick Cavell if he enjoys Ghana's fufu. Okay, this is from Kelly Inosu. Okay, have you done any Ghanaian food? Any of the delicacies since you came?
Of course. Yes, no, I had fufu and goat stew the other evening. It was
goat stew.
Yeah, I love goat.
You mean
goat soup? Goat stew. You see, I'm from East Africa, but goat soup was excellent. Very good. I had jollof and chicken last night, so very good. I enjoy my Ghanaian food.
Wow.
I'm not going to say who makes the best jollof. I'll keep out of that.
You better not. No better not. Excuse me. There's one from Atani in La. He says, once upon a time there was a Black Queens coach named Okwayi who related with the ladies very well, gave them good training. For reasons best known to the authorities, he was removed. This is the price we're paying now. Thank you very much, Atani in La. Another one here. Taking a bit to retrieve this message. We'll get it down in a bit. All right, so Nat's good show always seems that as a nation we are not ready to continue sports, so we can withdraw from all competition. The Nigerian girls were each given $3,000 for the win against Zambia. Okay, thank you very much for that message. In a bit, we'll activate the phone line so that you can join us with the conversation. Let's actually do that now. It's 0302-216-541, 0302-216-541, 0302-216-541. Football always brings surprises, and of course, Eibar are living on cloud 9 now because they're leading Real Madrid by 3-0. Well. Looks like Real Madrid's troubles just started, especially after seeing off Julen Lopetegui. We'll see about all of that. We'll be updating you as we go along and as we race towards the top of the hour. It's 84 minutes, but hey, magic can happen. With 6 minutes, 6 goals or more can be scored. All right, we'll talk a little bit about the women's game as well, the Under-17 Women's World Cup ongoing in Uruguay. You guys have been monitoring, even though you're engrossed in all of the stuff here.
Yeah, no, I've been following, especially the Black Maidens have done exceptionally well. 3 wins out of 3 up against Mexico. It's great that African teams seem to do well at the junior tournaments. Even the men, we've seen Ghana and Nigeria dominate under-17, under-20 in the last years. It's just a shame that it doesn't seem to be able to take that next step up and bring people through. So it's this is an ideal time for the youngsters to try and make their name. And if the Black Queens are now having to rebuild a little bit, some of these young ladies are the ones that could come through. But as we were saying earlier, that the important thing is there a pathway for them to do that? That is the key point here. It's like it's all very well they come back from Uruguay having reached the quarterfinals, semi-finals, or won it. What's going to be waiting here when they get back? Is it more football, or is it just thanks very much for doing well in Uruguay, off you go now, and then get ignored? And they need a pathway when they get back and say, you've got a chance to play your club football. You might get picked up to go to Europe, and you do have a chance of getting into the senior team. But it's that pathway and development that needs to be clear.
All right, let's get on the phone line now. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, good to have you here on the show.
Yeah, thank you. I think that we as a national team or the nation, we have a problem. Anytime you use a different crop of players to qualify for a tournament, and so we have to augment the team. So you know the team is not augmented. Why do you use that same crop of players to qualify, and then you push in new crop of players? That is so unfair. So unfair. And anytime we do that, I particularly will pray that we lose and come back home. Because you can't use me and we qualify and say, oh, you are not good enough. You drop me. Go and bring somebody who was not willing to sacrifice to qualify. That's so unfair. And we should look at on the Black Stars as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. 0302216541. 0302216541. We lost the next caller, so hit those keypads. Let's get talking about women's football, the opportunities we see going forward. Rashid.
Nat, you know what? I think that in all fairness, it's okay that the Black Queens ended their journey yesterday. Okay. Because trust me, if we had qualified to the FIFA World Cup 2019 in France, it was going to be disastrous. Because you couldn't have taken... Coach Bashir Hayford said, he affirmed actually that under no pressure, under no duress, that this is the best the country has in terms of the 21 players he invited for the Women's AFCON. And if this is our best, and this was our best performance, or this was our performance here in the Women's AFCON, trust me, in France 2019... I'm sure we're going to be, would have had to go there with baskets because we're going to take a lot of goals. And talk of the fact that our strikers, have a few challenges and they were not clinical up front. I think it was just fair. Let's just come back, go back to the drawing board, do what we have to do, infuse more energy and, more, I don't know, infuse a lot of energy into the team, build a better team. There are more tournaments that are coming up and let's prepare better next time for, bigger competitions. Our preparation, we don't want to go there. Shambolic, and that was the result we got.
Nicholas, you've also been around a bit here in Ghana. You've seen the profile of people or the demographic. In a way, even though you haven't interviewed people one-on-one, people who've come to watch the game. Does it give you any sense of feel that? We're growing a generation that probably will start growing that natural interest in women's football.
I think we've said a little bit before that, football has a huge hold on a lot of African nations. It's really fun for me to come to certain tournaments and you initially when you arrive at airport, you see that, okay, there is the sign that said the women's championship. Because when you speak to people and people ask why you're here for work, you're here for football, or for what? And then you tell them why you're here exactly. No, your country's hosting the women's, and what is a qualifier for the Women's World Cup. And there's this sort of, this moment of epiphany that, our nation is hosting this. And then you start to, but like the fans out in Cape Coast were, they wrote in all these massive school groups and I was told I didn't get to stay for the second match, but I saw 3 straight hours of singing and dancing and drum playing, which was fabulous to watch and catches your attention as much as the football and the atmosphere is phenomenal in that respect. I think it's, you're not finding a great deal of people who know a lot about what's happening or what's happening at the stadium, and you'd like to see that, they can bring in more people into the stadium to help to, so much as fill it. It's a massive stadium, but when you capture that and then you get the players and the reaction from the players to be able to play in front of that much of an audience. Which is rare, and see how that measures up.
Good.
So.
Let's get back on the phone line. Speak to Edwin, calling us from Accra. Edwin, good afternoon. Apologies for keeping you for a while.
Thank you. Now, my name is Edward. I'm calling from
Edward, rather. Can you lower the volume on your radio set? We're getting feedback. All right, please go ahead.
Yes, I think put together the performance of the Queens, I think, has been a total disaster.
Yeah, can you lower the volume completely, please?
Okay.
Go ahead.
You. So, wonderful. It's good that you are looking at all the issues. But could we have said that probably the coach was not up to the task? And if he wasn't, then why did the authorities actually give him the role when probably there were other better options available that would have taken the team, beyond the stage? Or was it that the team itself was not properly put together? These are some of the things that we also need to look at. Thank you so much.
Thank you too. 0302216541. There's a message from Frank Todd Amwa. He says, "Good afternoon, Nat. I'm enjoying the show. Point of correction: Hearts of Oak do not have a female football club." So let me just correct that as well. So what was said here was that these clubs have names that are associated with the clubs, but and then he also goes ahead to say, Fabulous Ladies is a female football club but belongs to Madame Habiba Atta. Only Hazakas and Elmina Sharks have proper female football clubs, Hazakas Ladies and Sea Lions respectively. Yes, very well noted. That's true. So 0302216541, 0302216541. Lydia, let me come to you. From all we've seen, I mean, we know the journey is not over yet for Cameroon. You are looking forward to zooming in on the final. So, but away from that, do you see any opportunity in the future, especially that in Cameroon you have one aspect sorted out, which is the passion of the people for the game. But beyond that, which other opportunities do you see which you think have to be worked on immediately so that, women's football can be grown in a great country like Cameroon?
I think that federation need to do something like yes, I was saying it's a problem of conscience. We have to be conscious. We have to take our conscience first. Government have to do something about like creating women academic. Yes, women academics, exactly. Club to training. So and better stadium to training. So better stadium to training, because I'll take example in Cameroon. Sometime the women that want to grow up in football, they are not have a good
environment.
Yes, environment to grow up, to training. Yes, so they have many difficulty to reach their football potential. So if federation can do something join with the government can do something to create some academic, some stadium to help those girls to perform their football.
Great stuff there. You're doing very well with the English. Okay, so apologies to Nikki from Akosombo. We lost Nikki on the line. If you can read out the number. Remember, it's 0302216541. It's 0302216541. Get back to us. Let's get talking here. There are a few more text messages that I'd want to share with you as we get towards the finish of the show. Remember, it's 0302216541, and Ghana will be playing that game against Mexico. Looking forward to another win from a Ghanaian perspective. Definitely another win for Ghana in the Under-17 Women's World Cup. The best performance so far at that level is a bronze medal. Very commendable indeed.
I was going to add to Lydia was saying about the government and the federation being involved. That's definitely they have to be involved in terms of helping set these things up. But I think that the other thing I notice, and again, this is not just women's football, I think it's across a lot of the African continent, is that whether the best use is made of private sponsorship, attracting sponsors to come on board and try and make it, it's, for me, it's not about asking for money. It's about making your product attractive enough for them to want to come to you and give you the money. And I think that's a key thing. And I think that, one of the things I said, I think in Cameroon and stuff, is we've got people sponsoring the tournament. Why not give them some tickets? They've paid for those tickets. And they give them out. And then, therefore, you've got people coming along to the stadiums who haven't had to fork into their own pocket to get tickets and what have you. But also, I think that, if you can make a product that's attractive with the help of the federation, with the help of the government, that then the private sector can come in and want to invest in your product, you've got to be able to prove to them why they should invest in you as well. I think that it's a big partnership between everybody to make sure it happens.
Okay, let's go to Onas from Newtown. Olas from Newtown, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, Nat.
Yes, good to have you here. Please go ahead.
A very good job there at the studio. My regards to Barbara. The Black Queens did a very good job, but I think they lack potential up front. But I must say kudos and a very good job to the Black Maidens over there. They will go places.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. There's another caller. Newton is our next caller. Good afternoon, Newton.
Good afternoon.
Please do go ahead.
Yeah, the name is Odas.
Okay, please do go ahead.
Yeah, what I would like to say. Yeah, I first want to greet Mr. Pelly's compost problem.
Okay. Okay, not seeming to be in tune with what we're discussing this afternoon. There's a message here that says, hi, in Ghana, any sporting entity aside the Black Stars is considered not worthy to invest into. Other sports entities gain attention where there is a competition before them. We will have to witness a natural injustice at its peak had the hosts and win manifested. Okay. We would have witnessed a natural injustice at its peak if the host and win had manifested. Let's change our mentality and stop relying on talents and God. Let's remember God is not and will never be a Ghanaian. Mohammed Abdul Fattah in Sukura wrote that one. Okay, he says that God is not a Ghanaian. Sometimes we want to believe that in certain situations. Okay, Chidiak, I think we lost Chidiak on the line there. Running out of time as well, so I guess we're going to wrap up the bit with the phone-ins. Rashida has got some breaking news from the CAF Twitter handle.
Yes, Nat. So we know that Kumasi Asante Kotoko are in the CAF Confederation Cup and we're due to play Cameroonian side Aiding Sport on November 28th, which is next coming Wednesday. And of course, we heard a lot of news about this particular game because the team said they were not well prepared or there were issues with football in Cameroon. And so CAF actually had to give them time so they will come out with a proper, way forward. But it happens that didn't happen. And just a few minutes ago, CAF on its handle, on Twitter handle, at CAF Online, says matches number 37 and 38 are cancelled because the deadline for Adfeka Foot Officiel Cameroon to confirm the engagement of second reps for Total CAF Confederation Cup has elapsed. Asante Kotoko of Ghana is therefore qualified to the 116th round, and this is coming from the official Twitter handle of CAF. That's CAF Online.
Okay, so good news coming in for Kumasi Asante Kotoko. Well, let's see how the rest plays out on the show. All right, so ladies, gentlemen, we're wrapping it up here on the Joy Sports Link. It's been great having you, but before we go, let's just quickly do our predictions for the next round of matches. South Africa versus Zambia. Let's begin with you. South Africa, Zambia, and then Equatorial Guinea, Nigeria.
You want score lines?
Yes, score lines.
Or some crazy prediction like somebody scores a hat trick. Or I'm going South Africa to top the group, so they'll get a win against Zambia here. And then Nigeria also will finish runner-up.
Okay, you tell me as well, Lydia.
You don't want to see Nigeria, Cameroon.
Yeah.
I don't want to see Nigeria with Cameroon. Okay. But I support Nigeria.
Okay, so Nigeria will beat.
Nigeria.
Okay, and South Africa versus Zambia?
I think South Africa will beat. Yeah.
Okay. Nick?
I'm going South Africa to win 2-1, and I'm going to go Nigeria, and I think, unfortunately, Equatorial Guinea might be on the end of another bad one if Nigeria carried on like they did in the second half against Zambia, where they scored 3 really nice goals. So I think there could be a few more goals going past the Equatorial Guinea keeper today.
Wow. Okay, Larai?
For me, I think Zambia will win the match.
Okay, Rash?
And Nigeria will also win the match.
Okay, so I think I want to see South Africa and Zambia going through to the next stage. I don't want to know what the results are going to be, but South Africa, Zambia should go through.
Okay, well, let's see how that goes. I know that Larai and Lydia will not agree with you. So, Larai Salamatu from Cameroonian Television, Lydia Era also from Cameroon, Nick Bruce from Fox Sports USA, Nick Cavill from our partners, the BBC. Thank you so much. It's been great having you this afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just a minute to wrap it up here. And Komla Dum is ready to go. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks to the whole production team, Benedict Owusu, Joseph Agbobli, and the rest of the Joy Sports team. We'll be on your radio tomorrow at 4 p.m. to bring you all of the latest from the world of sport. And this is where we get to say happy blessed birthday to my girl Na Ashoko. She takes over your radio in a bit.
You know that I'm a big man. Yeah.
Super Na Ashoko. Happy blessed birthday to you. You are such a big woman. Have a fabulous one. I remain your Nathaniel Atto, and I have love for sport.